Hello and welcome back to the channel as well as to my new series, Let's Draw Island Style. For those of you new to the channel, I'm your host and artist, Veemontamer, and I'll be your guide through this crossover art journey that takes us on a nostalgic tour through gaming history while talking about art and reimagining some of gaming's biggest stars in a beautiful aesthetic inspired by my favorite game, Yoshi's Island. Today we'll be drawing Donkey Kong while discussing my history of the series, how the series influenced me as an artist, as well as today's art topic related to the process, throwing perfection out of the window. Let's go ahead and get started. So what exactly was it about the Donkey Kong series that inspired me as an artist? Donkey Kong is something that's truly special to me. I admittedly never owned the original Donkey Kong Country on the Super Nintendo, however I am fully aware of how groundbreaking it was on a technological standpoint. It wasn't until Donkey Kong Country 2 came out that I got to truly experience the series firsthand. Even though DK himself is not my favorite character of the series, that honor goes to Dixie Kong with Diddy being a close second. I was still a huge fan of the series. As a kid, I absolutely loved the Crystal Coconut show. Of course, 6-year-old me was like, yay, Donkey Kong! But another part of me saw that these characters can exist in different forms of media outside of games, prompting me to become more and more curious about different types of art outside of just pencil and paper. At this point, I knew digital or computer art existed, I just didn't know where to start. For me, the real influence comes from the story of how this game was made. I think this story shows that creatives can't be afraid to take risks or explore new territory. We need to be able to step out of our comfort zones. In the early 90s, Rare really went out on a limb. They took the biggest leap of faith. They wanted their games to be something special and groundbreaking, so they took everything they had and invested into two $100,000 computers capable of rendering 3D graphics. They weren't afraid to explore new concepts even at the expense of their entire company. Because of this leap of faith, they were promoted from a third-party developer to a second-party developer for Nintendo. Donkey Kong Country took the gaming industry by storm with cutting-edge graphics, a memorable soundtrack, and fun gameplay. It really set the standard of what games truly could be, as well as the standard for my approach to my creative ventures. But there is one more interesting fun fact worth noting about setting standards, and that is that this very art series that I'm doing, Island Style, wouldn't even exist if it weren't for Donkey Kong. Did you know Yoshi's Island was Nintendo's first-party rebuttal of sorts to Rare's Donkey Kong Country? Shigeru Miyamoto, the godfather of everything Nintendo, who for starters wasn't completely satisfied with the new direction Rare took with Donkey Kong, wasn't ready to throw in the towel and accept that the Silicon 3D graphics of Rare's wildly successful title were the new golden standard for contemporary SNES games. He wanted to prove that a bright, colorful, bold, hand-drawn coloring book aesthetic could look just as groundbreaking. With the help of the Super Effects 2 chip, his wish was granted, thus began the legacy of Yoshi's Island. So let's go ahead and start talking a little bit about the piece. As you can see, Donkey Kong appears to be done, but something is obviously very off. So we're gonna go back and start doing adjustments. A lot of people assume that I get everything right on the first shot, and that is not necessarily true. I don't ever expect to get something that I draw correct on the first try. We always hear about the fundamentals of art, such as like keeping your sketching lines loose, lighting, anatomy, proper shading, etc. But I think a concept that a lot of us overlooked is the concept of understanding ourselves. Art isn't always a clear, fun road. When you learn something new, it's going to be frustrating. You're gonna hit those roadblocks, but it's up to us to look inside of ourselves and understand how to get around those blocks. So personally for me, I've seen that some of my weaknesses are the fact that I get hung up on really small details. As a kid in school, when I would take tests, there could be like 50 questions on this test, and if I get stuck on question number 3, I'm going to spend the entire time trying to figure out question number 3 instead of doing the logical thing like skipping question 3 and trying to answer as much as I can and coming back to it later. In the past, I've gotten so hung up on trying to get art correct the first time that I got super discouraged and didn't even want to draw again. So it was up to me to come up with a plan to figure out how I wanted to avoid that, because I know I like drawing, but I know that I also dislike frustration, and I don't think the way to cut frustration out of my life is by giving up something that I like doing. My way to fix that is, as I say, I just throw perfection out the window. If I ever feel like there's something that I'm going to be stuck on, I will draw the crudest placeholder. And it doesn't matter what it is. Sometimes you gotta just crank out something ugly, then walk away, then come back later with rested eyes and a rested mind, and then finish it. As you can see, I'm making the final adjustments. I've already corrected the face, I've got the line art down. Now because the lines have shifted a bit, I just have to correct the coloring. And here we have it, the first member of the DK crew that looks much more like the one we all know and love and how he came to be. If you like the content so far, or learned anything new, be sure to subscribe, because there's plenty more art, history, and tips on the way. Now that DK is complete, it's time to advance on to Hyrule to draw our hero of time. But before we do, I have a question for you lovely viewers on this journey with me. What are some challenges you faced when doing art, and how did you overcome them? By sharing our stories, we help each other grow, so leave a comment down below. I also want to give a shout out to everyone who supports me over on Patreon. If you like my work and want to see me grow as an independent artist, please consider supporting me over on Patreon. Patreon subscriptions grant you access to things such as power to vote what I draw, your name at the end of YouTube videos, and stickers mailed to you every month. Well, that's it for now, and I'll see you all next time on Let's Draw Island Style.